and if there's anything too personal for us and you don't want us to share it with anyone, by all means let us know. But we also like to pretense these sort of sessions with both myself and Kel. We're extremely professional at what we do. We don't pass anything on as judgment, so feel safe to open up and say as much as you like or as little as you like. We don't really look at anything as being right or wrong or good or bad. It is purely, that's your opinion, that's your perspective. Everyone has their own perspective, and we accept whatever it is you say or believe, so for one for better word. So
that's great.
Yeah, cool. Now, have you got any pen and paper, mate, in case you want to take any notes? You might come across something that you realise or think of.
Nope, I've got that here.
Yeah. Someone with, I'm guessing, your focus, you're probably all over that sort of stuff. So, yeah, mate, at any time, if you're not sure of something, just ask a question. What we tend to do is, with the 5 strengths, Kel and I will probably go through one each, and then we'll sort of touch on one of them together. And what we try and do is align a coach with you that has a couple of similar strengths to you. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to see the same world as her, but Kel's got learner and relator as well. So she's going to be able to relate to you, for want of a better word, and hopefully you'll be able to learn a bit about the strengths in that relation. Now, where the challenge is for me, I don't have any of these top 5 in my top 5, so I'm really looking forward to going through these with you too. That's cool.
Okay.
Now, to give you a little bit of an overview, because I think what my aim here to do with you today is to give you an introduction of what Gallup Strengths provides to business owners. So we want to look to what we can provide to your clients in the way of the company directors and business owners and all that sort of stuff through Southeast Queensland Golf. And the structure that we normally set up, obviously that initial assessment you did online, that's open to the general public. It costs $10 US or something like that. So anyone can do that. Anyone pretty much from 16 years and above. They can do it if they're younger, but if you can imagine, it's designed for adults. We then take it to this level here, which is what we call an unpack. So if you enjoyed your top 5 strengths, whether you're looking at solving problems within a relationship, you just want to understand your own identity, whether you want to know more about yourself in a business context, or whether you want to look towards unpacking your team strengths, if you've got a work team or a sales team or something like that. So we work on a one-on-one basis with one coach per staff member or whoever it is that you want to deal with, and that's at a certain setup. And then you've got the opportunity, once you become familiar, and we call that naming your strengths. So we'll name your top 5 strengths now. And then from a coaching perspective, so say, for example, you were Joe Blow from, I don't know, Coles National Sales Manager or something like that. You become familiar with your top 5 strengths, and then you might spend the next month or so, once a week, getting to actually claim your strengths. So actually becoming more familiar with them and focusing on how you can implement your strengths into your sales techniques or your sales team and so on and so forth. And then, of course, I don't know how much information you read. Did you go through much of it on the website? Did you have time to have a look at your results and things?
I haven't had I've printed them out and had a look through them.
Okay. Did it scream out who you were, and that sort of aligns with everything you do?
No, definitely some of it made sense for sure.
Okay.
So,
All right. And then, well, the finishing touch there is obviously there's 34 strengths. So we like to focus on the top 5. It's sort of, I think I may have touched on this when we met last time. It's a case of, I believe we brought up in the world teachers, parents, people around, when we're sort of 5 to 14 years of age, they really harness on focusing on our weaknesses and sort of getting stuck in you and telling you, you go back and do what you're not good at. So there are 34 strengths, and this is based on Gallup, the biggest research company in the world, and they've basically built this over the space of 40 years. But what they recommended that we do is we coach everyone on all 34 strengths. But what we find is if we gave you that report with all 34, chances are most people just turn it over to the back and they look for what number 34 is, and then they wonder what's wrong with them and how they can fix it and all that sort of stuff. So we just purely start with the top 5, and then depending on the individual will determine whether or not you want to spend 3 months, 6 months, 12 months or whatever actually opening up the whole 34. And it's basically, the process is name them, claim them, and then aim them. So once you've got your whole 34, you can really aim and target where you want to send your strengths. So
Okay.
we'll move into it. I'll give you a little bit of insight and then I'll pass you on over to Kel to give you a bit more information. But the number breakdown, again, I don't know if I mentioned this the other day. Your top 5 there, not matter on which order it is, but the chances of you having the same top 5 as someone else is 1 in 280,000. So if you've done DISC or Myers-Briggs or something like that, you've got 4 energies or different categories. This is 1 in 280,000. The numbers are obscene, but then if you had them in the same order, learner, focus, significance, related belief, or back to front, belief, related, significance, focus, learner, it's 1 in 33 million. So Scott, you walk into a room with 500 people in there or 1,000 people in there, chances are people don't have those strengths, are so high. You can guarantee that people are going to want those strengths. So whatever you've got to shine with, if you can learn to language them in the best possible way, everyone's going to go, shit, this guy's awesome. I want to know what he's got, if that makes sense. So from a managerial perspective, it just empowers people insanely. So I'm just going to pass you over to Kel here, and she's just going to go through what we call the talent code or the Gallup talent code. So you're right there, Kel?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So basically this talent code is just a bit of an insight into what the talents are. So the talents or themes are, say, the strengths that you've got in your top 5. So they're learner, relator, belief, significance, and focus. So the talents, they're classified as a natural way of thinking, feeling, and behaving. And so the talent code, there's 5 main principles to the talent code, and the first one is that all themes are neutral. So all the 34 themes, the 34 strengths, all classified as neutral. So there's not one that's better than the other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the second talent code is that themes are not labels. So say, for example, myself, I've got learner as number 1. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm labeled as a student forever kind of thing. They're just, they are what they are, and you'll find out more about that today. The third one is that differences are advantages. So within a team, for example, if you've all got different strengths, then you can use those to play against each other and play within the team with your strengths, using all of those as a team, which is cool. The fourth one is behave with positive intent. We all love that one. And the fifth one is that people need each other. So those five principles really are the Clifton Talent Code, and that's what we'll focus on today.
Okay.
Awesome, exciting. All right, let's get going. So we'll start with number 1. You happy with that?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So you can see the screen, all right? Can you?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Okay, so we've just got a little table here, and we've got the 5 themes or strengths, and we'll go through them as a description. Now, you may have seen some of this information already if you did manage to flick through them. If not, that's cool. We'll just sort of read through them. So starting with belief, how does it sit with you in the sense of you're passionate and uncompromising about your core values? Is that a true statement?
Yeah, that definitely rang true for me.
Mm-hmm. So you got to go on.
Yeah, I don't. And it's actually something that I kind of relate that to. Even back far at school with regards to just peer pressure and all those kind of things. I've just never really been one to buy into it. I do what I do and believe what I believe, and that's just how it works.
So would you say you got a deep-seated desire to have a positive sort of effect on people?
I definitely want to be positive. I don't know how deep-seated it is in the from a point of having positive impact on people. Yeah, for sure. I don't necessarily, I don't waver certain things, or I certainly don't intentionally waver in any way to please someone. With it, I certainly, as I said, I don't try to, but yeah, I certainly, it's nice to have a positive impact on them.
So you, as it says, you make sacrifices for the things that are important to you, or really important to you?
Yeah, definitely. If it's family, well, yeah, there's constant sacrifices there, and that's not a bad thing. And work-wise, yeah, it's always a fine balance between what I feel I need to do and those conflicting, I suppose what you consider those priorities, or those things that you stand out at the top of your priority.
Yep. So family and work.
Balancing it.
Yeah. So family and work are obviously two key components to your lifestyle. So when it comes to your family, obviously you need to provide for them and they come first. Give an example of how much time and effort you put into the kids. So how old are your kids?
9, 8 and 5.
9, 8 and 5, okay. Sport and whatnot on weekends, you take time out to go and...
Yeah, I coach Brody's under 6 soccer team. This is the second year I've done that. I'm on the committee at the soccer club, and so we'll train on Thursday afternoons, and even if, like yesterday, the grounds are closed, so I actually went and found another place where we could go and train, and let them know. Just, they hadn't played or hadn't been able to get out for a couple of weeks, and I wanted them to be able to get outside and run and kick a ball. So we did that. Or the girls are involved in squad swimming and swim 4 to 5 days a week, between 4 and 6, and I'll go down and watch them when I can, and try and work the schedule as if I can around it, or they've got regular carnivals, so there's that's all day generally it's all day on the Saturday with it. So or even this morning, Brody's class it was their turn to perform at assembly, so I made sure I could work it so that I was there from 9 till 10 o'clock to watch his class sing their pirate song.
Cool. So what do you put that down to? Is that family values, or is that something that's just been ingrained in you? Is it a selfless act?
Oh, look, I had it when I was younger that my dad would come and coach my soccer team or my cricket team, and so he'd go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he'd be there to watch to come and coach the game, and when the game was finished, he'd go back to work. So it was kind of ingrained there, but at the same time, I want to make sure that they know how important they are, and do try to do everything I can to be there for some of those important things. While they're not important in the scheme of life, they certainly I remember doing those things with my dad, and it'd be nice for them to have a similar memory.
Yeah, I've got to.
But there's always a certain a certain amount you can do.
Yep.
Without becoming a endangering, I suppose, some of the other things, that you've got to do as well. Whether predominantly it's work-wise, but
Yeah, there's a statement here. It's got you aim to provide for your loved ones physical, educational, emotional, and social needs. Is that a fair assessment?
yeah, yep, yeah. We I hope so. Anyway.
Well, it sounds like it. Sounds like it. Very commendable. Very commendable. So it's got to. I love altruism and selflessness. How do you relate when you saw belief coming out at number one? How do you relate that to yourself and what's been instilled in you?
I think I've always, again, this is kind of as far back as I can remember, is it's not. I don't tend to conform for the sake of conforming, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like is, or saying I like is, not following the path already trodden. It sort of blaze a new trail. I just if it fits with what I do, then that's great. But yeah, if it doesn't, I mean, yeah, I suppose if you talk to Jeanette, my wife, she'll go, yeah, he's a stubborn thing. But yeah, sometimes that just comes from, I don't necessarily believe in that situation or what's happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, definitely related to that for sure.
Yeah, I can see the sort of blend of significance coming in there. If you want to be unique and you want to put your own stamp on the world.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the challenge that I enjoy.
Okay, well, hypothetical question for you. If you had a magic wand, how would you leave the world in a better place?
Well, I don't know so much the world, but I'd certainly like that. Just by connecting with others, I don't set out for recognition or that direct recognition from people going, yeah, hey Scott, you're a great guy, or I don't need to. I suppose they say I don't have smoke blown my way, but
it's a nice
I certainly would. I'd like them to be. I'd like people to go, yeah, that I like the the way he acted, or he did what he said he was going to do, or I'd really like the way he was a great boss, or he was a good family person. Just I look at anyone in that kind of thing, and that I see and think those things about, and you think, well, what could I take from that? What can I learn, or what might I be able to tweak to get a bit closer to that? I think that for me is plenty. I enjoyed the time when I worked at Wesley Mission in Sydney for many years. Working with on the corporate side, but it had a lot to do with youth service and counselling and homelessness and stuff like that. And yeah, I say I don't set out for recognition. I just set out to, just help someone, I suppose. Sounds a bit wishy-washy, I guess, but
not at all. By nature, you probably want to do something to benefit mankind or protect the environment. It goes along with belief. You've got this insatiable desire to make a difference and to create a happier and more hospitable environment for others around you. Yeah. It's.
But at the same time, I just won't. I won't put what I do. I suppose what I believe. I won't compromise that to make someone else happy.
Well, it says here on the page that I need a cause and a purpose for life for which to live.
Yeah. When it comes to, say, the golf side of things, prime example, there was a betting agency, Ladbroke. Well, at the time it wasn't Ladbroke, but it is now. And the guy in Melbourne that runs it just didn't feel that it was potentially a fit for him and the Melbourne golf group. So he rang me up about it because he said, "Oh, look, something Scott might be happy to chat about." And my answer always is, as long as this is a personal thing, but as long as it's not illegal and it's got nothing to do with smoking, for me, I'm happy to hear about it. And then make a judgment call on where it fits or whether it's just not something that works.
Yeah, right. Cool. And we don't like dwelling on the hatred sort of side of stuff, but is it a fair statement to say you hate anything that doesn't align with your beliefs?
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. Definitely don't hate it, and it's not even a dislike or anything like that. It's just there.
Even smoking.
I don't.
You seem to mention smoking there a minute ago. Is that something that you just don't believe in?
I don't believe in it, but and I certainly will protect my kids where I can, but I don't have any hatred or dislike.
Okay.
In that regard, I certainly don't support it, but and might not understand sometimes the different things about it, but I don't unless somebody's trying to throw that in your face, I don't I don't really have an opinion or think.
It's a very strong word, hate, and it sits there. I dread saying it every time. There might be a little bit of a dislike.
No.
Yeah, cool.
No, just it's there, and as long as it's not being, as long as someone else's belief is not being rammed at you, it's their belief. Everyone's entitled to it.
Love it. Now, we've got a saying with strengths, well, a couple of sayings, obviously, but about the difference between being in the balcony or in the basement. Have you heard that phrase? Did you read anything about that?
No.
That's all right. Basically, we're born with raw talents, if you can imagine that, and some people go through life and they don't really get the opportunity to turn those raw talents into something more mature. And throughout the process of getting these raw talents to becoming mature strengths where you can actually benefit from what you're good at, and even when you're peaking with your strengths, or you're in flow, for want of a better words, that's when we tend to call it you're on the balcony. So you're standing up, you're feeling tall and proud, and you're looking out over your life and enjoying it. But then when you're not doing so great and your strengths may be working against you, for want of a better word, we call it like you're in the basement. So you're in underground. You might wake up in the morning with the shits or something like that, and you're using those strengths against you, for want of a better word, or in some form of a negative way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in relation to belief, it sort of suggests here that when you're in the balcony, you live by a consistent set of core values that are unchanging, and these values provide your life with a defined purpose. So that seems to be when you're in flow. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But then when it could be used against you, or someone could see you as not using that strength to the best benefit, you may be intolerant and reject beliefs of others, or you could think of your own beliefs that are more valid than others' beliefs or of others.
Yeah, I could certainly see that happening.
Mm.
It's not something it doesn't fit with me. Well, I certainly don't think it does.
What about
but I could see how
growing up or anything like
others, I've got to say not really. I don't, I certainly don't, it's so subjective and personal. As long as it's not harming me or the family or even the people close to you, well, kind of each to their own.
Okay. Yeah, look, these are just overviews, and obviously you could probably see that other people with belief as a strength or as a raw talent, I should say, could come across this way. But it sounds like you've got a great handle on it.
Yeah, I think it's a belief, but it's not a it's not fanaticism, I suppose, for want of a better word. I don't. If I go to church, I don't. Like when I was at Wesley Mission, our monthly management meeting, kicked off with a church service. And everyone from the CEO all the way down would be in there, and I'd never taken communion in my life, and that they would all be getting up there and doing it, but I just didn't see the reason, or I didn't see the purpose of doing it just because everyone else did there. It was, if I'm going to do it, I want to be doing something like do it with a greater purpose. My boss was Jewish, so she definitely didn't get up. But yeah, it was just one of those things, and I certainly from those that got up or before we did a meeting, they would do a reading and have a chat about it, and whilst most of the time it back then it bored me to tears and I didn't get it. I just accepted that was part of what it was, and that was the organisation, and so be it.
Yeah, I can see the significance coming in there, and you're relating to others on that level of your independence, their own independence, and allowing each other to believe in what they want to believe in.
Yeah, it's just as I said, as long as they're not going to either come at me for and argue with me that it's wrong, then I'm fine. I've certainly had some fun animated discussions with family members and stuff like that. I enjoy that kind of challenge with them when they kind of have that chat, and I don't know, just
no, it's great.
Looking at logic and things like that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And that probably moves us into your next strength. I think Kel's going to touch on relator. But before we move in there, let's ask about the relationship. And I'm not sure whether we should go to Jeanette for this or just ask you. Would you find that you're dependable and you can be trusted and your word is true to you?
Yeah, look, it certainly it has been, and it still is. Like the intent is there for it still to be. You know, about 2-3 years ago, you know, I was curled up in fetal position, you know, beside a bed and kind of had a meltdown. And yeah, so, you know, a lot of like anxiety stuff, and I mentioned the other week when we had lunch that, you know, they're now sort of diagnosing ADHD or adult ADHD. So again, it's a label. It's not a definer, you know, for me. But at the same time, yeah, I'm probably, well, not probably. I'm certainly not at that level that I used to be with that dependability and that. It's still good, don't get me wrong. But one of my issues is I set a pretty high standard for myself and really give myself a kicking when I don't live up to it.
Yeah, there's that focus.
And so yeah, I think to others it would certainly be, but yeah, for me it's not where it used to be.
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. The 5 strengths are starting to jump out of the page at me as you're talking and as you're sharing your history and your stories with it. That's awesome. Yeah, great sort of segue.
You haven't nodded off, have you, Kelly?
No, not at all. I'm listening intently.
Which is a great segue actually to bring in 2 relators, and you can touch on this next strength. Is that where you were going, Kel? You want to start with relator next?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, totally.
We all good with the belief? How are you feeling with that?
Yeah.
Scott, is it
yeah,
sitting
no, it
well?
definitely makes sense to me.
Yeah, cool. So Danny, do you mind just jumping up onto the top page?
Yeah, sure.
On the screen? That'd be cool. So looking at relator, Scott, both of us share this theme in common. It's quite high on my top 5 as well. And just looking at your spread of your top 5 compared to mine, I mean, obviously they were going to be so different. Each of the themes, depending on how they interact with our top 5s, they're always going to be really different. So I'm really, really interested to hear how you relate to the theme of relator. So just looking at this page, genuine and authenticity, how does that sit with you?
Yeah, I am pretty genuine. I mean, I suppose it's, and I'm just relating it to relationships. You know, there's that line between politeness and being fake. Yeah. And yeah, I always try to be polite, but yeah, if it's not happening, we're not going to be talking that much.
Yeah, for sure. And I can see how the sorry, continue.
No, I was just but yeah, I certainly always try to be genuine. I'm not huge on putting on a mask or something to as I said, just to conform to someone else's beliefs or perceptions. Yeah.
So these 2, belief and relator, sort of seem to work quite well together.
Yeah.
And do you find that you?
Jeanette tells me that if I don't like someone that I don't know, to her it's rude. To me it's kind of like, well, I'm just not conforming, I suppose. I'll just say it the way it is or something, and yeah, it's not a set out to be rude.
Yeah. And how would you describe your relationships with say your closest friends?
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. You know, I've never had any sort of, you know, massive group of friends, you know, outside of the, I suppose, the contacts from a work perspective. They intertwine a bit for me. You know, I might have, I suppose, yeah, probably only a handful of you know, what I would call close friends that I don't also have some sort of professional involvement with.
Yeah.
But there's certainly, you know, there's certainly a group of people that I have been involved work-wise with that, yeah, I'd still consider friends, or, you know, if they ring up, I'd you know, drop everything and help them out or whatever.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but I've never, yeah, even, you know, whether it be all through school or, you know, uni and through work, I've never had these groups of people that you would go out with. You know, it might be me and one or two others that head out.
Yeah, I think that really
Yeah.
fits in with this theme of relator, is searching
Yep.
for more deep connections rather than just a lot of surface level.
Yeah.
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 Cool. Yeah, I find
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah. Just, yeah, again, just, I don't know, it's just how it's always been.
Yeah. And do you find that often some of your close friends, if they know that you're, say, you know, well versed in some kind of topic, that they'll come to you for advice?
Yeah, there's certainly a few of them that do for sure. You know, there's probably not as much as others, but yeah, they've definitely come and will seek me out for an opinion or a suggestion on what might, yeah, I don't understand this, or, you know, I want to get this to happen, or, yeah. So yeah, for sure. I
And
just tell them
would you
bugger
say, would you say that, say if you know one of your close friends wants to achieve something in particular, you'll sort of not go out of your way, but really be there for them and help them to achieve whatever it is that they're aiming to achieve?
Yeah. Oh, look, yeah, for sure. If it's, yeah, if it's, you know, again, whether it's something could have, yeah, nothing to do with me, but yeah, I'm always happy to help them out, or, you know, yeah, go and do something with them or for them.
Yeah. And would you say that a lot of your close friends, that you've got maybe similar personal or even professional goals, sort of moving in a similar direction?
Yeah, I would say so. They're probably at least, you know, maybe 2/3 on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, certainly somewhere between half and 2/3. But, you know, yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. And just on the bottom line here, it says that the need for time and opportunities for those one-on-one connections. Would you say that's fairly accurate?
Yeah, oh, look, I've never been, and this fits really well with having a networking group. I've never being entirely comfortable around a group of people I don't really know. Walking into a room and going, oh crap. So I think but again, once I get to know someone a bit more, can walk in and be able to say hello to them, and just that mere hello, somebody else wants to say hello to you. So that might be standing there with them or something. So yeah, it certainly helps to move that the awkwardness.
Yeah. And you can see the initial social discomfort of meeting someone new. That's down as, and again, I don't particularly like the words I hate, but maybe if we can change that, I don't know, Danny, to I don't love, or something like that.
I'm not fond of.
Yeah, not fond of. Yeah, that initial discomfort of meeting someone new, and once you get to know them, then it's all good.
Yeah, it is. It's oh look, but for me, I've got it's such a big part of what I need to do to establish the contacts and so on for growth. So when it comes to to my the business golf network and that, most of those I've talked to over the phone or something, and when you first meet them, that's fine. Or you've had conversations on email with them or something. I really don't have any awkwardness there, but just that straight up, here I am. It's like, well, that for me is fairly full on.
Yeah, for sure.
That's apparently that's a thing with is it the development of my frontal cortex or something in the brain? Not being great around people.
Interesting.
So the counsellor tells me.
Oh, okay. But so that not being great around people, maybe we could rephrase that, because with relator in your number 2, it's not that you're not great around people, it's that maybe you're great when you're in one-on-one conversations, or you can do that relationship building in small groups once you get to know people. But just in big groups, maybe it's a little overwhelming or just a bit too much.
Yeah, it's that initial conversation that is difficult. That once it's going, and once if you know something or they've given you something that you can ask them more questions about this or that.
And you can find ways to relate to what they're talking about, and
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. So, Danny, do you mind just switching the page on the screen there? We'll just briefly look at on the balcony and the basement. So, so when this theme for you is playing out really well, would be like enjoying close relationships with other people and finding satisfaction in working hard with friends to achieve a common goal.
Yeah, no, definitely. It definitely rings out, for me. No, definitely.
Yeah, and in the basement one, so when the talents are focused either inwardly or maybe they're not quite understood by other people, it might be seen as could be being very selective or playing favourites, and it might be difficult to form a relationship, especially like if there's little groups or cliques, which I suppose with when you're in a big room of people and you're sticking with a few people that you already know, that can sometimes other people might perceive it to be that way.
Yeah. No, I definitely can. Definitely see that. or understand that for sure.
Cool. Awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to add on this theme? How does it sit with you?
Yeah, no, not. I can. I just can see how it does relate, and it does make sense.
Yeah, and also just to sort of round it off, I'm just reading from one of your documents here, is that some people might actually turn to you for a plain spoken or really easy to understand explanations. So if you're able to process that information and be able to explain it to somebody in a way that's easy for them to understand, people might come to you for that. Would that be true?
Yeah, I mean, I get that a lot with some of the work that I do with Bartercard and talking to new members or new prospects. That's why the cold calling and so on in that role just kills me. But
yeah,
when I sit down and it gives me phone phobia. But when I sit down with them, I've had others go that. Well, number one, I've never had bad feedback from anyone I've sat down with, and I get only positives back from I suppose the account managers that deal them on a day-to-day basis, but they always getting comments about making it easy to understand, or that makes sense. Like people kind of rave on about different things, but for me, when I'm explaining how a particular fee there works, I just say this is what happens when I buy a pizza. They seem to that works. And they understand that. So I think I do get even just with the girls when I do their maths homework with them that that's so much easier, or that makes sense with it. So definitely.
Awesome. Danny, did you want to jump into the next one?
Yeah, I think we were both going to touch on significance, but I just wanted to add there, mate. Really impressive how you've adapted your understanding of big groups and small groups and the need to contact them one-on-one first and really relate to them. Commendable, mate. That's utilising your strengths, and you're obviously taking that to your own mature sort of level. That's cool.
Yeah, well, it's not been an intentional thing, knowing it was a strength or anything. It's just I always get let's say in certain environments where there is an expectation of picking up the phone first or going and doing something else with that direct contact first, that I will look at an alternative initially before I do that. And I usually get frowned upon, but it is what it is.
So the two strengths now that we've gone through, or the two themes, can you see how they can connect and gel? Is that making it a little bit clearer for you?
Yeah, no, it does for sure.
Mm.
I definitely see the line between them.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, your management in Bartercard, and you're obviously running the company there with South East Queensland. Do you see yourself as a leader through your own beliefs and the ability to relate with others?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not so much with the stuff I do at Bartercard, because that is a lot of things outside my comfort zone. There's no question from a belief in it and all the rest of it. There's no question there, and there's a bunch of people in there now that have got what we call a hybrid role, where they've got some sales requirements in them, and they've also got that day-to-day account management. And so they are coming to me and asking me, about, what would you do here, or what's this, or, when they were doing training, I was supposed to be at a committee meeting for the soccer club, but instead I passed on my apologies to there, and I spent 3 hours sitting at McDonald's at Robina with one of the ladies, working on her presentation for her, because she was going to get tested the next day on it. That was from like 7:30 till 10:30 at night or something.
Wow. Does that sound like learner and related to you, Kel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that's once again, brilliant segue into significance, and really does signify, I suppose, how your independence and your need and want to be recognised, and how important it is that you're seen in the eyes of others. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, this is one that I'm still trying to understand a bit. The significance one, like just in the, I don't outwardly seek, the, I don't know if it's approval or whatever of the archetype. I did some projects before I came up here where it took me 6 months, but I got Better Homes and Gardens out to film my project, and film and they helped doing landscaping front and backyards of a charity project. Now in all that 2 weeks of footage, the 2 episodes of footage, I think you've seen my back once as I walked through carrying something. It was more important for me that those that were helping and supporting it were there with their shirts on and their face in there and things like that. And I'm more about the fact that if something goes well, then they're going to go, well, who was it that was looking after this? Well, that's him over there. Well, I'm happy to do that. Or if it's a team that I've managed, I want the team to have a good reputation, and then people looking at who looks after that team. Oh, that's him over there. Don't
Danny, can I just jump in for a second?
Have to be out in the front.
Yeah, sure.
There's just something, as you're saying that, Scott, there's something highlighted here in the notes, and it says that it's very likely, with significance as one of your top 5, very likely that you may propel people to higher levels of excellence by ensuring and reassuring them that you value their contributions or their capabilities.
Yeah, that one certainly makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I think this might be how you use your significance, is giving it to others.
Yeah. That one, is something that certainly resonates.
The reason why I asked you that question, Scott, and I was letting that go, is quite often people see that word and they think it's a personal reflection on them, and it's almost ego-driven, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
And it can be a scary thing to see. And I like to just sit back and see what your understanding of it is. Because do you know much about the core needs, 6 core needs?
Some of them sort of in broad terms.
Yeah. Well, significance falls in under a behavioural need, and it's just understanding that it's human nature. That at some levels we all need significance, but when you have a strength like significance, as Kel was saying, it's not just about you needing significance, it's your ability to identify in others and to be able to relate with them and provide that significance for them and give them that belief in themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely does.
So this is quite possibly, this may be the strength.
That's probably been actually to my detriment, on a lot of, well, not a lot, but on many occasions, where I probably should have been the one that stepped out front and said, hey, hang on, it was I did this or I did that. So yeah, it's always a balance, working out where the line is.
So people have probably taken advantage of you in the past?
Well, yeah, definitely.
Any examples?
Probably why I got ordered the substantial amount of money before we moved up here.
Right. Okay. So can you see how there can be such a wide range from being in the basement to the balcony with this talent moving into a strength?
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
How would you relate to an instance where either yourself or someone around you has sort of come from the basement when it comes to significance?
In what respect?
Can you think of an example, maybe in your teenage years or when you're in Sydney starting out in business or something along those lines?
As in taking advantage of it, or?
Well, let's see what they got here. Someone's seeking attention constantly and a demand for credit. Have you ever felt like you've needed that, or people around you have wanted to take the credit from others?
Yeah, for sure. There was one. There was a young girl when I was at Wesley Mission in Sydney. When I first started there, I was the only guy in the team. There was 3 other girls and there was a young girl in there, and she was somebody that just she was ready to walk on anyone to get what she wanted, and there was this I suppose it was a strong resentment of me because I was in where she wanted to be. And she was one of those, and I don't mean this badly, but she would talk about the Christian values and things like that and all the rest, and then would just do the opposite. And yeah, I don't know, I didn't buy into it, and I let her kind of let her give herself enough rope for but yeah, it was I always whilst I let it go, I certainly had to be aware of what was happening, and at times just rein it in or put a block in the way that she would flick it in a different direction, and that was fine with me because it hadn't gone too far, and been too detrimental for me.
So you let it go, basically. You don't feel the need to confront them or talk to them in any way, or give that they need?
I've certainly done it in the past, and asked people, and to a degree, it's actually come from some people, that I've been looking after or managing, and I've always sat them down and just asked what the problem is, and if it's somebody that I've been managing in a work sense, and gave them a chance to fix it, and if they didn't, then sort of took it to a new level.
Right.
Which you have to do in a work environment. because it's, you can't have them going around. Not so much it's been about me though either. It's been just, it's a reflection on my team, or those people that I work with, and that stuff that I don't like.
I'm just so I'm just looking at the that you're on the balcony and under significance, and I'm just listening to your stories over the past little while. I think that really rings true for what I can hear in your stories. How do you relate to that? I thrive in situations where I can add value to the lives of others, and I have high standards and want to help others. Yeah.
If I can do that, then for sure, and I think we've all got those challenges of nobody does anything as good as we do it.
Yeah.
And that's always the challenge of just not so much accepting that or anything, but it's an understanding that that's our belief or our opinion, and it doesn't make it any more valid than someone else's.
Yeah.
But if I've got to put my name to something, then I've got to be comfortable with it.
For sure.
You can't. I'm not going to go and argue. Well, you're not going to get the best results if I've got to go and argue someone else's logic.
Yeah.
With it. So, no, look, I think seeing others, around me doing well is, I enjoy that.
Yeah, cool.
There's a lot of stuff Jeanette's doing at the moment, and I see it, and I think it's awesome. And I'm super proud of her with what she's doing. So I only, when I see, how hard she's doing it or working on it and tired she might get, that I can't actually help her do it.
Yeah.
That's frustrating for me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, cool. Well, Danny, did you want to head on into focus?
Do we want to go through the I am, I will, I love with significance? I started with the basement first.
Yep.
Sure.
Right. Yep. Do you want to go through that, Kel?
Okay, sure. So the I am is interested in being seen as significant, so I can accomplish something significant. I don't know how that sits with you, and I know before you were mentioning, maybe the word significant is almost putting yourself on a pedestal, but how does this statement there relate to you?
Yeah, look, I think I'm certainly interested in being someone that somebody else can see of may have some value in helping accomplish something significant, like but I don't necessarily, as I said, I don't have to be the one that's standing on top of the hill with the flag, saying how good is this.
Yeah, for sure.
That for me is, not something that is a value or something I aspire to.
Yeah. So you're more likely to give that significance to other people.
Well, I just, if that's where I end up, that's where I end up. But I'm not going to be the one that's standing up there yelling and screaming.
Of course. Yeah.
I will let the accomplishment talk for itself, rather than me having to to tell someone how good it is, because if that's the case, well, is it really significant?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, if I've got to tell everyone about it,
Mm.
it's kind of a, I don't know, it just seems to defeat the purpose.
Mm.
Yeah. And being motivated and influenced by the perception of other people, so how other people see you, maybe in relation to your beliefs and your values. So you want people to see you as
from a beliefs and values perspective, no.
No?
But at the same time, you know, if you know, I've got others that, because of what if their perceptions and of me and my beliefs aren't aligning with what they actually are, because of, for whatever reason, then I will absolutely take a, you know, sit down and check it out, because that's not about being influenced by them to change my perception or beliefs. That's about me being influenced by them, going, well, hang on, that's not the perception I have or the beliefs that I have. So why is it? What am I doing that's not aligning?
Yeah.
With mine? And okay, well, you know, I'll check it out and take the feedback there and go, well, hang on, I need to be doing this, this, and this, because that's what I do, versus changing to conform to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so before we were talking about being a leader, maybe not in the company you were talking about before, but in other areas.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, if realizing that the support of really loyal individuals around you, like closest friends, is essential to your own success in the things that you do. Is that something that you would take on board, or are you more happy to go it on your own?
No, look, I don't think, and look, if there is someone out there, I'm happy to be shown wrong, but I just don't believe there's anyone out there that's been successful on their own.
Absolutely.
Yep. You know, I don't know everything. I'm not the guru of all things good. I don't, you know, and I would rather call on, you know, some of those people that I know and go, hey, listen, you know, this is what I'm doing, but I don't know, is there a better way of doing it? Or, you know, what do you reckon? Am I going down the right track? And it's not I don't know, I don't see that as seeking validation. I just see that as, you know, leveraging from people that know far more than me about something.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there really fits in with what we're working towards. With the strength is being able to connect with other people who have different strengths to you, so that you can both work together to achieve whatever you need to achieve. So, for example, you were talking earlier about with the relator in groups of people, maybe that initial contact is maybe not your best strength, but somebody else might be awesome at that, and you are great at making those connections and relationships once you've got that initial connection. So being able to use other people's strengths to work together, and
I hope that's right, having the different strengths, because when Jeff, who works with me in the golf, told me his, they were nothing like it. So
cool.
Yeah, it better be right, because yeah, we're not. If that's not correct, we're in a world of trouble.
how do you find that relationship works quite well?
Yeah, look, it's one we're still working on. It's
Yeah.
you know, it's one we're still feeling through from working together on a business.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, definitely, I think I can see the great benefit to it, and I can see that it's only it's not far off being. I suppose it's more about just understanding where our strengths are and what roles we play in being able to deliver the success.
And also being able to understand, so what we're going through today and with, was it Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Jeff's strengths as well, if you're both able to look at your top fives and go, oh, okay, well, I understand where you're coming from because of these things, and I understand where you're coming from because of these, and being able to almost have those work together and create that partnership.
I just tell him to pull his head in.
What was that?
I just tell him to pull his head in.
I'm sure that could work too.
Oh yeah, it goes down a treat.
Well, on that note, I'll just add something in there, Kelly, if I may. I just bring up our grid. Now, excuse a few of the names there. I don't know if it matters too much, but
No.
This is a grid that Gallup give us, and they categorise each of the strengths into 4 categories. And this might help with you and Jeff, or actually anyone within Bartercard, or with any business that you're associated with.
Yeah.
You can imagine, for a successful business, you want to have people within a team within all 4 categories. So, for example, you've got 2 executing strengths where Jeff has none.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
And you both got a relationship building strength. He's got more of the strategic planning strengths, where that's your learner in there, and then you share the influencing. So between the 2 of you, you cover all 4 bases. So if you can imagine, I'm up here. I've got no executing strengths, but the majority of my strengths are in influencing. So that's where I come from, more of a sales and marketing background. But you look at someone like Kelly, and you're fortunate to have someone like this. She's got strengths in all 4 areas, sort of like yourself, which is quite rare. It's quite rare. And that's why I sort of thought it'd be a good idea to line the 2 of you up. Jeff.
And that does tell me I'm special.
It does. It does. Absolutely. Absolutely. You better believe it, mate.
Means it that way, though.
You better believe it. Number 1 strength, mate, is all about belief, as long as you believe it. But you can see how we can come into a team environment, and we can build a grid like this, and we can basically break down which individuals are in the right areas of work, and whether they need to shift or move to another job role, or whether there are massive holes within a working environment, and we can plug them by looking for specific strengths within people, either in another area in the company or looking externally. So it's a really, really powerful tool. I know Jeff's done DISC before. Have you done DISC?
I have, but again, don't ask me what the outcome was, because I can't remember.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, it's slightly different, and this is obviously a lot more research-based. 40 years in the making, 50 years in the making, and this was based on, what was it they said? It was based on relationship counselling. That's where they stemmed it from, and I think his name is Don Clifton was the guy that invented this thing, the Clifton Strength Finder. But they use this in the courts now. Gallup's research is supported in the American court system. So all these other data companies around the world rely on Gallup for their research, because they're the only ones that can say, well, they're used in the judicial system. It's so powerful. But anyway, I'll let you get back to it.
No.
Did you want to go into focus from there, Danny?
Can do. I think it's a good place there just to check in. We've just been going sort of just over an hour now. How are you sitting there with those 3 strengths, mate? Is there anything that's standing out? To me, what I find in all 5 is depending on who it is, there's always seems to be one strength that stands out that just you do naturally. It's just absolute flow for you. And then probably three of them, you'll fluctuate between. You're doing well. Sometimes you'll jump down in the basement, but then there's one that really seems to stand out that you can really be in the balcony, or you can really be in the basement. I'm tending to think it might be focus, and we'll go into that in a minute. But where do you see these first three that we've just touched on? How does that sit with you?
Yeah, I don't think they fluctuate too much. You know, I don't know, just for me, they are what they are, and you know, that's just me. That's what I do. You know, that's you know, it's yeah. I just think they. I don't think I move a lot in there because it is such. The activities or the actions within them, you know, do come off that belief side of it. So
there's no shocks. There's nothing other than a bit of terminology and jargon around the word significance. It's all pretty straightforward to you.
Yeah. That there's it all makes you know, nice clear sense. Those ones. Yeah.
All right, well, let's have a look at focus, because this can be, as you can imagine, the word is, if you're not in focus, you can go all over the shop, whether it's business, relationships, you know, everything.
Yeah.
So it's obvious to say it's intensely and intestinally focused within you? You prioritise and then act?
I do, and it's always a kind of an interesting area because, you know, when it comes to you know, prioritising, you've got so many different ways to base priorities. You know, whether, look, if it's something quick and easy I can knock out of the way, or, you know, that I can fix in the house or whatever, well, let's get it done. Versus, this is going to take me 2 days, but gee, it's important. So yeah, I suppose my focus or my priorities, don't often match up with some of the others around me, which is, you know, understandable.
Well, one of Jeff's strengths is ideation, which is a strength that I share with him. And ideation is based around ideas. So we had this discussion the other night. He comes up with a lot of ideas, and I can imagine how you two may clash with your focus and his. Why don't we just do this? And why don't we do that? And we could try this one and try that way. Is that a fair assessment? Yeah.
Yeah, we have I suppose, the frustration that comes from that is, it's a great idea, but who the hell's going to do it? I think that's got the implementing, you know, part at the front that he doesn't. Well, I don't think he exists in, or I might have one in there, I think.
Yeah. So this is what, if we look at the grid, one that stands out, and again, it's one of mine, and I don't mean to make it about me, but activator.
No.
Activator is all about getting things started. So that could complement both yourself and Jeff together. If you were looking to take team members on or have someone else around you, then you get an activator in there. If neither of you enjoy starting these sort of things, he loves creating ideas, you love putting together the focus, you can relate with others and connect with others and bring that activator in to get it started. So if you're at Bartercard and you've got that team underneath you or beside you, if you can identify which is the activator, then you befriend them and you relate with them, and then you get them to get started on Jeff's ideas or wherever you want to focus those?
I actually that makes perfect sense. There's a lady in the office, actually, the one that I was helping out at McDonald's.
Yep.
Her and I have a 100% sign up success rate when she provides a lead or referral.
Awesome.
There's not one that we've that I've nailed with the paperwork, and obviously from her point of activating it and getting it started, she's killing it there. So
so that's,
and she would definitely be the strongest connection that I have in the office.
okay. So you've got a sales role within the office of how many staff?
There's probably maybe 8 to 10.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. They're the perfect team sizes we like to work with, because what we do is we analyse everyone's strengths, and we can actually sit down, and when we bring you together as a team, we work with you to identify the roles or the jobs or the tasks that you need to complete on any given day or week or whatever. And then your strengths, but you also know your lesser strengths. But someone else who has those strengths, you know exactly who to go to. So straight away, just with our first conversation here in just over an hour, you can now language that woman is the person to go to initiate your conversations and your meetings, so you can then start to relate with them. You know what I mean? So you as a manager, depending on if it's, if you're not a manager of Bartercard, if you were the manager, you can then identify within your team similarities within your strengths of people that don't know how to activate, and you say to them, look, go and sit down with her, get her to start for you, and then she'll go and pass it on to you. So rather than, she may not be good at focus, she may not be good at ideas, so don't put her in a role where she's going to have to create ideas or where she's going to have to focus on the whole job. You know what I mean? Just, she gets it started. I love getting things started and then just leaving it and someone else goes and does it, or it just sits in a corner. But I've learned how to master those strengths, and that's the key component of teamwork. And it's screaming to us, and I'm speaking on behalf of Kel as well, that team structure is what you love being around. And golf, sports, your kids' sports, all those things that you love watching and being a part of. You're a coach, you're a mentor, you're a leader. It all revolves around your relator, if that makes sense. And your other four just complement that and bring them and tie it all in together, and makes it brilliant. Absolutely awesome, mate.
That does. That makes sense.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
But so going back, I keep getting off target, man. I get a bit passionate about these strengths, and we could sit here till.
No, not at all.
I know you got a family.
Well, the good thing is that, like say, Andrew was one of the 3 founders of Bartercard, and retired when he said he was going to at 45, and got bored by Wednesday because all his friends and that had to still work. Rather than, he went and did some things, but it all led back to, if they had excess stock or capacity or whatever, he'd go, well, listen, this is how we're going to utilize that. So rather than doing that, he said he decided to buy in at a franchise level. And so I'm very fortunate that he's the guy that owns the franchise that I work out of, but he's a massive supporter of NLP.
Oh, wow.
He's a huge believer in it all, and constantly talking, about it. Awesome. So but I don't know what he's done, or how he's sort of worked it with everyone that's in the office or that kind of thing. But I just know that he's a huge supporter of NLP.
So he puts you all through your PD programs with NLP and stuff like that to talk to your customers and.
In short, no.
Hmm.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what he does in that respect of when he's hiring people and things like that. So yeah, I couldn't say. I know last year there was just all kinds of problems staff-wise.
Yeah.
Certainly seems to be more stable now.
Yeah. So you're not a master
but,
practitioner or anything
yeah.
in NLP? He hasn't put you through any of the courses?
What was that, sorry?
Has he put you through any of the NLP courses? No.
Look, I've done the disc one, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And even then, yeah, I kind of hadn't paid too much attention, to be honest. So, I mean, that's why I wouldn't even know what they all stand for and all the different parts. So I know of it and things like that, and know, the purpose and intent behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the intricacies of it is it's not something I'm aware of.
How long ago did you do disc?
Oh, a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I haven't done it any time recently.
Yeah, look, it's a great tool.
And to be honest, I don't really remember doing it.
Results.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess. What do you reckon, Kel? High eye?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll throw the jargon at you, mate. That's all right.
No, go for it.
So, mate, I think focus pretty much speaks for itself. You're always striving for those goals. You're always wanting to reach excellence, for want of a better word. Do you find you've got to step everything out and you know exactly what and where things have got to be to achieve your goal?
Yeah. My thing is that I can do that, but the follow through side of it is always is something that it's not as strong as it should be. I can. That's I don't know what the weaknesses are, but certainly it's one of those ones that I have to consciously look at and try and always bring myself back to.
Is it obsessive?
So I guess in having the steps there.
In having to achieve what you set out to focus on?
I don't know that it's obsessive. I'm certainly, because for me, obsessive is, constantly, that's my single focus. Yeah, look, it could be, I suppose, but I don't know. I mean, sometimes maybe, but I wouldn't say it's a constant. But there's certain things that, I just, for whatever reason, I just can't let go of.
So the contrast between the balcony and the basement is your ability to select changes in course, and you want to stay on the most appropriate path, in contrast to being anxious or intense or resisting to make the changes that you need to achieve the goals.
Yeah, I think this is one that I could definitely see fluctuating. There. It just depends on, I suppose, where the where the head's at in the sense of that follow through.
How do you relate your focus to your family life? I mean, we've spoken a fair bit about business. What about, you know, the kids and Jeanette?
Yeah, look, it's you know, from a focus point, yeah, look, the girls with their swimming, you know, would certainly be there. Where I don't know that, like, because we certainly don't make them do it. It's a choice they make. But at the same time, if you're going to get in the water, you know, we want you to be trying. We want you to be doing it properly. We're not just, you know, fluffing around up and down the pool to say that you got in, because you might as well not bother. So.
But do you push them too far at times? Is it possible to push them too far?
I think you could, absolutely. I think you could, but you know, I don't think we've got there yet on that. I think the big one is probably just around general behaviour. You know, there's that expectation. You know, if they're asked to do something, well, why did we have to ask 6 times, you know, to do it? You know, why didn't this happen or that happen? Or, you know, and I suppose part of it's an issue of trying to remember, well, what was I like at that age? And, you know, is that actually in line with, you know, what they're doing? Is that, you know, similar? And I'm just trying to impose a standard that is not in line with, you know, that age.
So what do you do if one of your kids come up to you and says, "Dad, I've lost interest in swimming. I don't want to do it anymore"? How do you take someone quitting or giving up or not wanting to continue?
We had it recently, and we have a chat about it. And for me, there's got to be a reason. You know, you don't just, you know, that's the outcome is the quitting, but what's the reason behind it? You know, is it just don't want to go up and down the pool? Fair enough. You know, that's something tangible. You know, with it. So, I mean, we had that with Hayley, but we also knew of her love of it. You know, and it was, as it turned out, it was just a mental thing that she was going through, and probably similar to myself. And yeah, so we put her on drugs. Sounds really bad.
Yeah. So do you?
Yeah, but it was wider than just, you know, I don't want to swim. You know, I'm quitting choir at school, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing a whole bunch of things.
Right.
And so it wasn't just I'm quitting this. There was more to it.
And how did that resonate with you?
They're natural drugs, okay? They're natural.
Yeah.
You know, referred by the doctor. But yeah, chalk and cheese within a week. You know, just fixing up some chemical imbalances like myself.
And how does that sit with you?
And how does
the fact that your daughter just went from 1 week being what seems like focus to the next just losing complete focus, how does that sit?
Does my head in. Absolutely does my head in. Don't worry about going week to week. Talk about going from afternoon to afternoon, or from 1 hour to the next hour. Oh, it's painful. We'll sit down, even just sitting down at dinner. One night, will love, eating vegetables and whatever else, the next night it will be World War IV, because we had World War III the week before, to eat the vegetables.
Yeah.
And so it's not that you don't like them, it's just you're not in the mood. And it's
Bringing it back to you, Scott, how does that sit with the example of balcony and basement? How does your focus sit with knowing that the people that love you that are sitting at the dinner table are just fluctuating in their focus? How does that make you feel? How can you, does it bottle you up? Is it?
It frustrates me in a big way.
Mm.
I suppose the space between, I'm not saying good and bad, but along those lines.
Mm. Are we talking anger? Do you lash out? Do you yell, or do you keep calm? Or
oh yeah, no, I definitely get loud.
Mm.
And certainly, Jeanette probably pulls me into line sometimes. On that one. Just, no question, from an anxious and intense perspective.
Mm. So can you
see how?
Sure. You see how in this example, this is where you're probably going to be in your basement the most out of these 5 strengths, I believe, and we haven't even touched on learner. But could you see how it's possible to call on your significance and your relator and combine them to sit around your focus when you're struggling in these sort of times?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you could give your daughter that significance that she needs and relate to her on that father-daughter level, you might be able to bring that basement thought and feeling of focus back up to where it belongs on the balcony by utilising the other strengths that you've got around you.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I don't know in this particular one that there's too much middle ground.
Mm.
It's one that I'm also strongly working on. I'm not fixing, but moving more to the balcony from a professional sense as well.
Mm.
Just bringing that, because I haven't. There's a purpose there, but it's something that I've been working on for quite some time, is to get that sense of purpose back. That there is right. This is my place. This is what I'm meant to be doing.
Your belief.
Yeah, that's and so that's what I've got to. I'm working on getting back, and now while 100%, say if it's like with Fortune, no questions around that, but at the same time, that's only one part. It's not like one part of me.
Mm.
It's not everything. With me. So it's, whilst it's good to have something like that, it's there's other things that need to be in place to give that whole feeling, or also satisfy that need for focus.
Mm. So looking at that last bit there, in a relationship, you enjoy working with others to create goals. Is that something you could implement with your daughter in the sense of eating vegetables or swimming or dance or whatever it is that she's losing focus on? Can you actually work with her rather than being daddy-daughter and you're the one that's capable of yelling or getting angry, taking on that relator role and working with them like you work with that woman in Macca's and seeing that she needs you?
Yeah, look, it's something that we do already.
Mm.
We set some goals between us, and I make a point of telling her, like, this is me and you. It's not everyone else. It's just me and you, and the reward that we get when we achieve this, me and you will have that reward. It's not with everyone else.
Awesome.
And so yeah, we do that.
Awesome.
My challenge is she kicks my butt at getting hers, either before I get mine or I don't just get mine.
So here's a question for you.
So,
you might want to take a second to think about this, because as a parent, it's a different sort of setup than if you're a boss or, it's just a friend or something like that.
yeah.
If your daughter, doesn't matter which one or which child or your wife, doesn't have focus as a strength, but you do you feel it's important for her to learn focus? Or do you think it's important for her to embrace what she's good at, and if she's not focused, that's okay and that's acceptable?
I think I'm not going to, I don't think if you haven't got it, you haven't got it. That's one thing I believe.
Awesome.
And it doesn't matter what you do. It's just, you might as well keep hitting your head on a brick wall. It's not going to happen. But at the same time, as a parent, I would like to think that I am, I don't know, smart enough or intelligent enough to come up with ways that at least teach something in that area, or instill something in that area.
So nurture.
It's not a matter of and as I said, if they haven't got it, it's not there. But say don't take the straight route of just yelling and screaming about it. It's like, radio. Well, let's work on doing this. So using the vegetables as an example, with Haley, we had to at one point count out 6 peas and put them on a plate.
If that's not setting goals.
No. Well, it is. It was ridiculous. And then,
awesome.
and then we had to work our way up to 20.
Yeah.
That was just the way we did it. And I'll tell you what, if you put one more than what was meant to be on that plate, teacher would let you know. But
Oops,
yeah,
one goes on the floor.
You've got to look at ways to sort of get there without having to scrape your head along the wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think as a parent, there's a lot there of it's that responsibility of, like you said, nurturing that, and it can be taught to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But beyond a point, it's just not going to happen. But I don't think it's focusing on the weakness. I think it's using the strengths to try and reduce the level of the weakness.
Beautiful, beautifully worded. Yeah.
God, if that was the case, I would never get off a chipping green if I was focusing on weakness.
You'd be there all day.
I'd pitch the tent. Seriously, I'd pitch the tent. And,
what do you reckon there, Kel? When it comes to focus with your leadership coaching, do you find that this is an imperative point for a lot of the leaders you deal with?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Having a particular goal and being able to plan it out and like you say, to focus on what it is that you're really good at, and not necessarily working particularly on your weaknesses, but I love what you said, Scott, about moving it up a level.
Yeah.
And
move it from 34 to 32. Yeah.
Or even using some other strengths, say in your top 5, maybe that that can combine together to increase that lesser strength.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I just and I think that's something that, you know, again in that focus area, that sometimes just losing sight of that and reverting back to the straight route of yelling and you must do this. You know, that's that balcony basement scenario. So it's, you know, going, oh, hang on a sec. That's, you know, I'm where it's, you know, no good's going to come from it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that level of you know, anxiety and intenseness, and keeping the balance, I guess.
Yeah, like keeping on the track of focus, I just looked up and it's almost, we're coming up to the 2-hour mark, and that's my fault. I get engulfed in focus and stuff like that. I think it's an imperative strength to look towards.
Yep.
And the stories you've shared there sort of resonate with that. Sorry, Kel, I've taken a bit of your time. Are you happy to move into learner there?
Yeah, of course. So Scott, what was your initial reaction when learner was in your top 5?
I think I'm still trying to understand it. It makes sense. Like I'm always, you know, I'm always looking at taking on board, you know, whether it be feedback or, you know, seeking out different things. You know, because again, I don't know everything, so, you know, one day I will, but you know, not today. Well, hang on. Yeah, no, as far as the kids are aware, I know all with it, but yeah, no, I understand that for sure, and you know, even from a learner point of you know, being around successful people and taking on board the different things that they might say or have done or whatever it might be.
So understanding that it's a continuous thing. There's always going to be something more to learn.
Well, yeah. I think I'll probably know everything by the time I'm about 60. Yeah, but up until then, yeah, no, for sure. There's always something new to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
No,
so
I do
just
understand that.
Yeah. And following things that will interest me, how does that speak to you?
Yeah, I can get to the point where it's, well, yeah, probably if you ask Jeanette, I go to the obsessive lengths in some of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's sometimes I just get into I just call it the zone on something, and yeah, I'll just be oblivious to what time it is or what's happening. But yeah, I'll just be looking and taking things in, and you know, kind of I suppose associating it or reflecting on how I can associate it with what I might be doing at the time.
Would you say that maybe sometimes certain people might wonder why you're interested in topics that might not seem to have much relevance for your life?
I don't know that most of the things that I do have got some relevance. I don't know that there's too many there that are not.
Okay.
At least to me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, you know, I know, you know, Jeanette will sort of be thinking, what are you doing that for? It's
yeah, exactly.
You're not doing that. But to me, it's like, well, if I know that, I can relate it back to this, or, I could implement it, or whatever it might be, into something. So to me, it always relates.
But to other people, it might not quite make sense.
But to others, it doesn't. So
cool.
there's that side of it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
And do you like that collecting new information and exposing yourself to new things?
What was that? The collecting info and
collecting new information and exposing yourself to new and different things.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Do you enjoy that?
I enjoy learning things or being able to take things on board that because again I'll relate it back to something and might be wow, that actually works now.
Yeah.
With it. So the amount of notepads and whatever else that are around here with things that I've sort of learned and whatever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know where most of it was.
Yeah. And what is it that you like about learning new and different things?
I think it's just I've got enough head problems of my own, but a lot of it, is related to the psychology of it, or the mechanics of it.
Yep.
If let's say it's from a bookkeeping perspective, or something that's in that area, if I streamline that, I can take out the potential for or reduce the risk of human error. And it's not done me any good because a lot of times it also reduces the amount of time it takes to do something.
Yeah.
And that does me out of hours of work. But just that ability to make something work better, or not better, but more efficient.
Yeah.
More effectively. And that's the stuff that I enjoy. Getting a handle on.
I wonder how this statement rings true for you. Maybe the struggle to expand your knowledge, broaden your skills, conquer your limitations, or fix problems motivates you to welcome academic challenges.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it as academic.
Yeah, okay. Let's change the word academic. Let's go like new challenges.
Yeah, look, for me, challenges are important.
Yep. Yeah.
There's I love a new challenge, and probably one of the big things that does get me into trouble is hearing people telling me that I can't do something.
Yeah.
Because that's when my stubbornness comes out. And whilst I may know that I can't, or I may also think that there's a chance that I won't, I won't give in.
Yeah, that's the driver.
And that's the and back when we were talking, and just I should have stopped there. I really should have just swallowed it and moved on, but no, I didn't. And you think, geez, I've wasted time or money or whatever on this, just in trying to prove a point that I thought was a 50-50 anyway.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That's got the same problem.
So let's have a look then at the balcony in the basement.
Yep.
Danny, if you wouldn't mind switching screens there. Yeah. So I have a great desire to learn and want to continuously improve. It's the process of learning rather than the outcome that's maybe exciting.
Yep.
Or the,
yeah,
the
definitely.
base. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe more focused on learning than using. Yeah, I think I do get into the basement from time to time.
Yeah.
But I think it's not so much the more focused on the learning. It's I learn it. Yes, I can see exactly where I need to put it in, but it's that implementation component that is lets me down.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's just the idea of learning and not doing anything with it. I think it's the implementing, and to some people, like today, I might learn something that's useless, but in 6 months, I'll go, hang on a sec, I remember reading something or whatever about this, and be able to do it.
Mm.
You talk to Jeanette, she reckons, like probably a lot of people out there, I'm the king of useless information.
Yeah.
Gotta love that.
But then
So,
you never know when it's going to come in handy. So.
No, and as I said, when I'm reading something or whatever, it's because it's been somehow someone brought it up, in that group, or I enjoy listening to podcasts, most of the time rather than the radio.
Yeah.
In the car, and something will come up there, and so it'll just have a flow-on effect.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
To something else. It's yeah. So I think it's definitely that I continuously improve, and yeah, I'm certainly, I gravitate more to people that are not necessarily just constantly focused on the end result. I mean, people that are just focused on let's say the money at the end of something versus how you're going to get there. And not even the steps, but I suppose focus. There's those that focus on the milestone.
Yep. Yep.
Is good, but yeah, those that focus from the start and then it's right out at the finish, it doesn't work great. They're more frustrating than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. And in a relationship, do you like to learn more about yourself and within that relationship, and learning more about the other person as well?
Yeah, sometimes no.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't want to know anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get me in trouble. But yeah, generally, you see how if you know more about what's going on around you, you can, say it's the family or whatever. There's certain things you can do.
Yeah.
To draw that out, or to be of help get more enjoyment or whatever out of doing something.
Yeah. And so learning about all these strengths today in just a little more depth, how's that sitting with you right now?
Yeah, I'm taking it all in actually, and sort of thinking about the different circumstances, where it's there. So, the idea of eating vegetables makes sense.
Yeah.
To me in that situation, and different things, and obviously looking at, and thinking from a bringing fortune up, and to where we know that it will be, and what the steps and the makeup of that might be. I'm just trying to look at pieces of that, so it makes sense that I've learnt more about me for sure.
And there's one of the documents that you have access to when you go into the Gallup site. You can actually download a personalised. So they've got the individual strengths or theme sheets that gives you an overview of the information, and then they've got a personal one that's made up of all the questions that you answered during the questionnaire, and it personalises it for you in relation to all your 5 strengths. So that might be something that you could have a look at over the next couple of days, and maybe highlight a few things that stand out for you, just to really implement what we've spoken about tonight.
Yeah, no, I will, definitely. I appreciate I appreciate you guys taking the time to unpack it.
Cool. I enjoyed it. How about you, Danny?
Yeah, fantastic. So that was great. Scott?
Yeah, no, I definitely, I've also sort of been going through thinking about the people that I think, or the businesses that I think would get good benefit from it. While we've been doing it as well. So
awesome. You can imagine with Jeff's ideation, what was going through his head when we did it with him. his head was going off like a firecracker.
Probably could have been good that I did miss that, because it could have done my head in.
Yeah. Well, on that note, in all seriousness, there's just an area we'd like to touch on, and I'm quietly confident with yourself that it may not apply, but we like to sort of finish saying this sort of thing.
Yeah.
These sort of naming and claiming of strengths can unlock some thought processes and some emotions once you're digesting and reflecting on it over the next few days, up to 1 to 2 weeks. Just be conscious of these things can surface, and I'll pass on Kelly's details to you as well, and I'm here, mate, if you want to talk or if you want to address anything. I don't know much about adult ADHD, and I hope that understanding your top 5 strengths now might actually relieve or reduce that a bit more. But there's definitely some stuff there we can work with you with, and I'm sure Kelly would be happy to put a hand up with her leadership coaching and stuff like that. I think she could help you with your learner and relator at least, as well with the other 3. But obviously we're catching up next week on the Thursday. I'd like to have a bit of a chat with you and let you sit on this sort of stuff, but I'm hoping there's something. I've got a few ideas of what we can offer to the guys in the golf groups in the way of prizes and stuff like that, because I don't know if you're aware, probably Kelly and I probably put about 3 or 4 hours into this, and there's a bit of time involved. It's not just the call, and I know you appreciate that.
No. No, for sure.
But our purpose, I know you touched on it, and your belief in our purpose is to bring this to the world and allow people to become more familiar with their strengths. Of course, there's the business and all that sort of stuff that comes with it, but as coaches, our higher purpose, for want of a better word, is to help others. And if we can make a difference in your life and your kids' life and your wife's life and anyone else around you, that's our why. First and foremost, before I sort of pass on to Kel, thank you very much for being so open. And this is one of the longer ones we have. We really appreciate it when people share their stories and they open up, and you've been magnificent, mate. Thanks for turning up 100%. It's been great.
No, appreciate your time.
It was brilliant. Thanks, Scott. Really enjoyed it.
Yep. No, great to meet you on the phone.
Cool.
Yeah. It's that first connection, right?
That's been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, enjoy the weather in Fiji. It's great.
All right, mate, I might just get Kel to hang on the line for a minute because we'll just do a quick debrief. But thanks again, mate.
Yep,
And
no worries.
if you want to
All
talk,
right, well, enjoy your weekend, everyone.
we'll do.
You too.
Cheers, Scott. All the best, mate.
All right, thanks again.
Bye-bye.
See ya.